Hello and welcome to Your Broken Galaxy. I am Broken, and today I am answering the question, what if Palpatine revealed himself? This idea was given to me by Goose8913, as you can see here. Let's go. So, Palpatine is sitting in his office one day, a year or so into the Clone Wars, and says to his friend and confidant, Mas Amida, "You know, Mas, I may have overthought this whole taking over the galaxy thing. I think I'm going to reveal myself as a Sith Lord." And Mass says, "You do you, Your Highness." So the next day, SheVP holds a press conference and says, "I have a rather significant announcement. You see, I've not been entirely forthright with my galactic constituents. That isn't to say that I've lied to you, but there is a rather important piece of information about myself that I have withheld. I don't believe I should fear its revelation any longer, and I have come to believe that this wonderful republic in which we live will not hold this information against me." He pauses to look around at the reporters around him and says, "I follow an ancient and storied religion of the Sith." He paused again. "I am what some would call a Sith Lord. Now, I know in millennia past, being a Sith was illegal. However, now there is no law against it. A fine progression of our legal system, I believe. But whatever preconceived notions you may have about the Sith, I encourage you, please set them aside for a moment and examine me. I was rightfully elected on my home world and to the office I currently hold. Though the Jedi are the religious opposites of the Sith, I have maintained cordial and regular relationships with the Jedi. Why, I bet if you would ask the members of the Jedi Council itself, if I ever gave them any indication that I was a Sith, that not one of them could honestly tell you that that's what they thought. That's because I'm a professional. Even though I have strong religious convictions, I will still do what is required of me for a safe and secure galaxy. I even would call some of the Jedi, like Anakin Skywalker, my friend. Now, I have heard that some people accuse Count Dooku, the leader of the Separatist Alliance, of being a Sith. But I ask you this. Has he ever said he was a Sith? No, he has not. And in fact, he was formerly a Jedi. I will continue to uphold the office of Supreme Chancellor with the same fervor and diligence that I have up until now, and while I'll not use my position to earn special favor for anyone who holds to the religion of the Sith, nor will I use my position to persuade people to join the Sith, I will no longer hide it. Thank you for your continued support." And the Jedi are all just sitting around the hollow tube together, and Anakin says, "You know, he makes a lot of sense." And Obi-Wan says, "Anakin, what are you saying?" And Anakin responds, "Well, you know, Qui-Gon just kind of assumed he was a Sith all those years ago." "What?" Mace Windu asks him. "On Tatooine. Remember that Red Horn guy came and attacked Qui-Gon, and good old Qui-Gon said he was a Sith, but, he didn't know that. I mean, after we recovered his ship on Naboo, we never found any documents saying property of a Sith. We questioned Newt Gunray, but he didn't say that he started the blockade because of the Sith." "Oh, Anakin," Obi-Wan says. But Anakin says, No, hear me out. When you got captured by Dooku, you said that he tried to recruit you to help him because the Republic was under the control of the Dark Lord of the Sith. He didn't say that he was a Sith himself." And Obi-Wan says, "Well, yes, but..." And then Yoda jumps in and says, "If a point you have, young Skywalker, please make it." And Anakin says, "What if somehow Count Dooku found out Palpatine was a Sith? When he was trying to recruit you, he did it because he felt like the only way to defeat the Sith was to go rogue from the Jedi." And Plo says, "Okay, that actually does make a lot of sense." "Plo!" Mace Windu says. "No, Mace, I'm serious. We don't like a lot of Palpatine's political decisions, but I mean, come on, last week, literally half of the council was in his office. Did any of you guys feel like he was trying to end us?" No, I suppose not," several of the members of the council answered. "I think," Anakin says, "we should hold our own press conference showing our support for the Supreme Chancellor." So the next day, Mace, Obi-Wan, and Yoda all appear on a stage, and Obi-Wan says, "Hello. I am Obi-Wan Kenobi, member of the Jedi Council, and general in this Clone War. Today, the Jedi Order wants to publicly announce that we as a religious organization uphold the Supreme Chancellor's right to practice his own religion as he sees fit. While we disagree with him about the nature of the Force, we recognize that the important matter of winning this war and preserving the Republic is essential. So a few days later, they do a photo shoot of Palpatine shaking hands with Yoda, and Palps is like, "So, Anakin, do you have a few minutes to talk about the dark side of the Force?" And Anakin is like, "Yeah." So they do. And a couple years later, as the Clone Wars is winding down, Palpatine says to himself, "You know what? I don't really think I have the justification to legally execute Order 66. So I'm just going to declare myself the Emperor and see what happens." So the war ends, and Palpatine has the entire, literally the entire clone army return to Coruscant for the biggest celebration there has ever been. And he makes a big deal out of it. He is pulling in political favors. He's getting talk shows talking about it, taking the clones up, making them the absolute saviors of the galaxy in the eyes of the Republic. And he is just giving the tiniest bit of lip service to the Jedi generals that he can and still get away with it. And so, with 1,000,000 clones all around the Senate compound in their shining white armor, receiving the accolades and the parades and everything that Palpatine is giving them, he is inside the Senate building and says the Republic is going to be reformed into an empire. And Mace Windu, who is sitting around the holotube with the Jedis, looks over at Anakin and says, "Gosh darn it, Skywalker!" So the Jedi all head to the Senate, and outside the Senate, in the courtyard, thousands of Jedi walk up and see Palpatine, the Senate Guard, the Red Royal Guard, and about 1,000,000 clones. And Ki-Adi-Mundi says, "We're arresting you." And Palpatine is like, "No, you have no authority." And Yoda is like, "Take over the Republic, you did." And Palpatine says, "Didn't you hear all of those duly elected senators cheering for this? This is what the galaxy wants." And Mace says, "You've manipulated everyone," and ignites his lightsaber. And Palpatine smiles and says, "It's treason, then." And over 2,000 lightsabers snap hips to life, and Palpatine takes out a small cylindrical device in his hand and says just loud enough for the leading Jedi to hear, "I wondered if I was going to be able to use this." He pushes a button on the shaft of the device, and the Jedi prepare themselves to attack. And then he leans over and quietly says, "Execute Order 66, to which the loudspeakers blast his voice across the entire planet of Coruscant, and it is on. The Blue Senate Guard, the Red Royal Guard, and 1,000,000 clones take out every weapon they have, running and firing at the Jedi. And the Jedi, who, unlike every other fight you've seen them in, start using the Force as a whole. They are all like individual cells in a collective body working for the good of the whole, using the Force as it flows through them. They deflect back blaster bolts, they jump, dodge, dive, duck, and weave around the attacks, but there's just too much. The clones are rushing forward and firing, and it overwhelms them, picking off a few Jedi every couple minutes. Despite the incomprehensible number the Jedi are taking out, just an appalling amount of the clones. All while moving towards Palpatine. Finally, Mace and Anakin make it to Palpatine, and Palps ignites his red saber, and Mace says, "Skywalker, help me!" And Anakin says, "No." And he continues, "Master Mace, man, you might not like his takeover, but what the Emperor is doing is technically legal. He was legally elected, and through democratic voting, the people have legally decided to reform our government under a Sith Lord who is practicing a legally acceptable religion." "Well, then why the heck have you been fighting on our side for the last few minutes?" Mace asks. "Oh, I wasn't. I was just deflecting the bolts up into the sky." "Anakin, there's civilians up there, too," Mace says. "Mace, there's civilians everywhere. What else am I gonna do?" "Anakin," Palpatine says, "from now on, you will be known as Darth Vader." To which Anakin says, Neat. Then suddenly Mace and Anakin are both shot by about 50 blaster bolts because Palpatine wasn't speaking loud enough for the clones to realize that he was on their side. Well, that is my video for today. Thank you for watching. In my mind, I kind of think that Palpatine kind of just won the fight and went on ruling the galaxy. When I recorded this video, I had 996 subscribers, so I'm really hoping that this is the video that pushes me over the 1,000 subscriber mark. So if you haven't, I would love you considering that. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and all that garbage.